Tonight, the Premier touches down in Port Augusta to inspect the damage caused by recent floods. And a decision on whether Whyalla gets a rat distribution hub yet to be decided.
From our 7 Spencer Golf Studios, your nightly news with John Hunt begins now.
Good evening. Premier Stephen Marshall has visited Port Augusta today to thank local emergency services for their work during this week's floods. He says disaster relief funding will be decided once they can see the extent of the damage.
Touching base as the clouds part. Port Augusta locals and the SES having the chance to brief the Premier today about recent torrential rain.
Good to get to Port Augusta, and this morning Dan and myself met with the local Mayor Brett Bembo to go through issues associated with the flooding and other issues that are important to this local electorate.
Monday's storm, one of 2 weather systems crippling the region.
A massive overnight flood in Port Augusta on Monday night, and the other, of course, is flooding rains 10 days ago that really impacted just about the entire north of South Australia.
The water drowned cars, flooded businesses and tore up roads, leaving the local SES inundated with work.
General type rescue work, but also thousands and thousands of sandbags to try and mitigate some of the damage that was forecast.
Today's weather outlook providing hope.
A couple of weeks of much better weather. It's going to be drier. There's also some good wind forecasts which will help with that evaporation.
Before disaster relief can be allocated, the Premier says they need more water to subside. He says assessors are unable to see the damage done through the murky water.
And I think we should be arriving at a better position in the next 24-48 hours with regards to whether we can trigger that level of support.
The Premier also says the amount of damage done to roads north of Port Augusta is still unknown and could depend on actions taken in recent days.
Just don't know the damage that was done by those trucks and vehicles that went through against the advice of SAPOL and the SES.
Edward McCarroll, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Residents scrambled to move vehicles from a nearby house fire in Coffin Bay this morning. The CFS says 000 received numerous calls after residents in the area saw flames bursting from the roof of a house on Douglas Street. Crews arrived just after 8:30 and were on the scene for an hour. 8 trucks responded to the incident, but that was downgraded to just 1 after the damage was assessed. Luckily, no one was inside the home at the time of the blaze. Broken Hill health authorities say early signs show COVID cases are beginning to slow in the region. But residents are being warned not to get complacent, however, with the district recording another 36 new cases overnight.
A small but positive sign, the worst might be coming to an end. The rolling 7-day total for the Far West has dropped to 117 cases, down 47 from last week. Broken Hill's average case numbers down by 19 to 67, while Wilcannia has seen a drop of 8 cases this week. The town's figure now sitting at 4.
And we certainly were expecting that it would start to, if you like, the peak would sort of level out, and we're probably beginning to see that.
Residents urged not to get complacent. Clinic numbers are below what Far West Health are expecting, with less than 100 people per day coming through. Mr Agus once again encouraging people with symptoms to go and get tested. He also says patients are still entering the emergency departments for other illness and subsequently finding out that they had the virus.
We had a patient admitted about a couple of days ago, exactly the same circumstance.
The region booster vaccination rate is currently sitting at a 37% rate, with the first few weeks seeing an influx before numbers slowed. Officials say there has not been much urgency in the community compared to the demand they had for the second dose.
That is a concern because we know that third dose does make a difference.
Anyone with questions or concerns is advised to contact their GP. Joshua Mercer, 7 Spencer Golf News.
With more rapid antigen test collection hubs being opened across the Spencer Gulf, a question remains if Whyalla will also get one. Authorities say a decision depends on the demand and supply of the sought-after kits.
A move to ensure close contacts can get tested efficiently and as soon as possible. 2 new rapid antigen test collection hubs have been launched in Cowell and Cleve.
We've been rolling out a number of sites across metropolitan and regional South Australia. The idea is to create as many access points as we can across regional South Australia.
However, with more centres opening across the Spencer Gulf, it's yet to be decided whether Whyalla will be included. Safecom's chief executive says they are working with local bodies to decide whether to open a hub in the city.
We're currently doing some planning in that space just to figure out where the next ones should be set up. We're working really closely with our local health network partners and with local government.
In a statement, the Whyalla City Council says the necessary arrangements will be in place soon and the public will be notified of the details and location.
The goal is really to reduce pressure on PCR testing sites, which is a goal that we think we've achieved.
Meanwhile, our defence against COVID has grown. 16 to 17-year-olds across the Spencer Gulf are now eligible to receive their booster shots, with ATAGI approving the measure today.
It did take some time to get the TGA and ATAGI to give their approvals, but it's all systems go now. There are walk-ins for 16 and 17-year-old boosters right across South Australia today.
Mark Zeta, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Still to come tonight. Sandboarding set to be permitted in 2 of the Eyre Peninsula's national parks. And Whyalla Council joins the green finance movement. Welcome back. Environment Minister David Speers visited Port Pirie this morning to discuss the new Southern Flinders Ranges National Park. The new park is expected to have a positive impact on local businesses across the region.
It's in our backyard, and now it's becoming a travel destination. The Southern Flinders Ranges, now a national park, with plans to create business opportunities which will pull in tourists from across the globe. Environment Minister David Speers says the process has already begun with the opening of the Bluff Lookout and upgraded camping facilities at Mambray Creek.
This creates a destination for tourists, for people who love nature, who love adventure, to visit, and we are just exceptionally excited.
The plans will link places like Talawi, Alligator Gorge, Mambray Creek and Mount Remarkable through multi-day hikes and mountain bike trails.
We know that mountain biking tourism is a high value type of tourism, and we want to attract more and more mountain biking to this region. It's going well already, but we can push it further.
Plans to establish the ranges as a national park started back in 2016 following discussions between Minister Speers and the Deputy Premier. Businesses now getting ready to capitalise.
There's a plan being developed for a downhill mountain biking trail from the Bluff on the western side down towards Port Germain and Port Pirie and Maroon Island side.
Christian Komenos, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
A popular recreational activity is coming to 2 of the Eyre Peninsula's national parks. Adventure seekers will now have the chance to sandboard down dunes, provided they do so in a safe and environmentally friendly manner.
Adrenaline junkies will soon be hitting the orange slopes. Thrill seekers now have the opportunity to sandboard in the Lincoln and Coffin Bay National Parks.
Quite a bit of interest in sandboarding in the parks locally now for a number of years, and particularly there's been a few commercial tour operators that have expressed interest in undertaking or doing a sandboarding activity in park.
However, it won't be a free-for-all. Rangers reminding people not everywhere is safe to board.
You can't sandboard anywhere. There's particular zones set aside specifically for sandboarding, and we'll have signs on site to indicate where they are, and there'll also be some information on the website to help people locate those locations.
The new locations are the first in the state.
There's 2 zones in Lincoln National Park. There's also 2 in Coffin Bay National Park, and still to come is Fowler's Bay.
National parks and wildlife staff have zoned out areas to ensure native vegetation isn't damaged.
The zones we've selected, we've tried to cover mostly the dunes that are mobile now, where there's little to no vegetation on them already.
People are encouraged to call the Boards District Office in Port Lincoln for further information. Henry Millick, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Local businesses in Whyalla are now able to receive funding for solar and sustainable building upgrades. The City Council is teamed with the Better Building Finance Program and is encouraging businesses to apply for the funds.
Offering more sustainable solutions for businesses across Whyalla. The City Council teaming up with Better Building Finance to help local businesses access finance for environmentally friendly upgrades.
It's targeted at businesses to help them become more cash flow positive. It's the type of finance that's available for, environmental or sustainability upgrades.
It encourages businesses to adopt technologies such as solar panels, EV chargers, and water efficiency initiatives. To date, the program has helped fund more than 100 projects across the country.
Our role as Better Building Finance is really to help councils set up the program, and we've been sort of tasked by the Australian Renewable Energy Agency.
Whyalla City Council joins 10 other local governments across South Australia providing the program. The Mayor wanting more local businesses to take a leadership role on the issue.
From Whyalla City Council's perspective, we think it's a great step to help support businesses to reduce their carbon footprint, and they will become, environmental leaders within our community.
More information can be found on the Better Building Finance website. Mark Zita, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Stay with us. Port Lincoln High School students return to action with new facilities. And Port Augusta residents now have a new place to work up a sweat. The return to class has been welcomed by Port Lincoln High School staff and students, with the school today showing off their brand new facilities. 3 buildings are now ready for use after a $15 million upgrade last year.
Just in time for the beginning of the school calendar, Port Lincoln High School students will soon get the chance to explore its new facilities.
First class facilities, you're not going to get anything better in the metropolitan schools, so to be equal with them in a country location like this is really exciting.
The new specialist building includes a number of learning areas, storage space and an Aboriginal education room. The project taking years of planning.
Process right from the architect's designs through to pulling buildings down to this building phase has taken us upwards of 4 years. So to be part of that process right from the word go has been really exciting, really happy with the result.
The facilities are not the only new inclusion, with the school also welcoming Year 7s for the first time.
It's a massive state change that we've made, 10 years in the planning. A lot of work's been done around making sure infrastructure's in place, but a lot of work's been done behind the scenes by our teaching staff to prepare for Year 7s to high school.
And renovations aren't finished yet, with its new tech facilities still to come.
The building project will finish in June this year. Our tech studies building has been gutted and we'll have a brand new tech studies facility which will really cater for students keen on those trades leading into real jobs.
It's hoped the buildings will last 40 years. Henry Millick, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
A new $33 million investment will be made to improve digital literacy in South Australian state schools and preschools. A digital guarantee unit will be established, made up of curriculum specialists and ICT experts. They will provide support to schools in order to meaningfully integrate technology into the classroom. Some of the funding will be used to create home-based internet solutions for families where cost is a barrier. Whitecliffs, Menindee and Ivanhoe will be getting pump tracks thanks to state government funding. The $760,000 grant providing families and young people with an outlet to ride. Council says community workshops identified the need for the tracks, with residents excited about what will be constructed.
The reason behind the pump tracks was that Council has done an extensive amount of consultation with the community, especially around our community strategic plan.
Planning and construction of the tracks is set to get started in coming months. Port Augusta residents now have a new location to work up a sweat. The already popular path that borders the town's eastside foreshore wharf and skate park has been extended to allow for even more access to the city for runners and cyclists.
laying the path ahead for locals. Port Augusta City Council's works to seal the shared path along the back beach of Levine Bank have been welcomed by the community. Keen joggers and walkers now bounding along it with joy.
The pathway where people can walk or jog around the back of Port Augusta and experience our historic moments through the plaques and so forth is completed.
The project extends from the poured concrete path adjacent to the city's skate park. With pedestrian restrictions removed, the community has had time to explore the new bitumen-based path. Snaking along the town's scenic gulf, every stop now becomes a photo opportunity.
This is an ongoing initiative from Council to make sure people can experience our great Gulf waters in our town.
Local fitness groups and clubs like Port Augusta Park Run will make use of the newly extended track. The group preferring to run on more stable surfaces than the dirt and rock-lined path that was here prior. In addition, the sealed path now makes treks safer for prams and people living with a disability.
So it's a lot more comfortable for people to use now. It's great for viewing and hopefully people appreciate it.
Edward McCarroll, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
A new study has revealed New South Wales residents are backing a clean energy future. A Climate Council survey shows 68% believe renewable energy is the best source of future employment. In comparison, just 1/5 backed fossil fuels. 6 in 10 also say the government's top investment priority should be in renewable assets. The council says all levels of government should pay attention to the results. Stay with us after the break. We will check what's biting in the Spencer Gulf this weekend. And we'll have the weather details with Alex Sykes. Hello again. With the weekend almost upon us, let's go around the Spencer Gulf and see what's biting in the water this weekend. Here's our fishing experts with their tips.
G'day and welcome to this week's fishing tips from Port Augusta, Jewel of the North. Well, I hope everyone survived the rain. That'll actually be good for the fishing. Try up and around the mouth of the creeks, around Port Patterson, Chinaman's Creek, and also up around the top of the Gulf as well. There's been some kingfish up around the top of the Gulf, and you can bet they're down around the old powerhouse site. Try for silver whiting around the mouths of those creeks, Chinaman's Creek and Port Patterson. Also out in the middle banks there at the low tide. And also, if you're trying for silver whiting, don't be surprised if you get the odd flounder and flathead as well. That's all we have for the Jewel of the North.
Welcome another week around the Gulf fishing tips from Port Pirie. Blue swimmer crabs are going pretty well. They're not too good at Port Augusta at this moment. I'm starting to struggle a little bit with that, so we won't travel there. But anywhere from the Third Creek patches to the top end of Cockle Spit, Checker Buoy, and also out in front of the Port Davis Creek, you should be able to find yourself a good feed of crabs. Yellowfin whiting has still been around. This cold weather has put them into a little bit slower. But my suggestion is to wait a little bit longer for that last fish to come out. There is still yellowfin whiting around the place. That's all we've got this week. We'll see you next week.
Time now to take a look at what's happening in the weather across the Spencer Gulf and Broken Hill. With all the details and a sneak peek towards the weekend, it's good evening this Thursday evening to Alex Sykes.
Thanks, John, and good evening, everyone. Well, there were beautiful, calm and sunny conditions across the region today. A final flood warning for Cooper Creek remains current, as well as a final flood watch for the northwest and northeast. From 3 p.m. today, Port Augusta was sunny and 26, Port Lincoln was cloudy and 21, and Broken Hill was 24 degrees. Looking further out across the region now, Whyalla was mostly sunny and 24, Port Pirie was sunny and 28, Adelaide and Clare were both 23, Woodner was 26, Kadina and Cleve were both 21, Cooper Pedy was 27 degrees. Taking a look at the satellite image now, cloud over the south in onshore winds is bringing virtually no rain. Skies are clear elsewhere under the influence of high pressure. Moving on to tomorrow's weather outlook now, and we'll start with the Gulf waters. South to southeasterly winds 15 to 20 knots, seas 1 to 1.5 metres, and south to southwesterly swell 1 metre. Port Lincoln will be partly cloudy and 23 degrees tomorrow. Cleve mostly sunny with a high of 24. Sunny in Woodner set to reach 30 degrees. Sunny in the upper Spencer Gulf. Whyalla will get to 26. Port Augusta with 29 degrees, and Kadina is set to reach a high of 28 degrees there. Port Pirie set to reach 31, Clare 26, and Broken Hill will be sunny and get to a high of 27 degrees. Looking further out through the week now, Port Augusta, Port Pirie and Woodner will get to 33 on Saturday. Whyalla sunny and 30 degrees, mostly sunny in in Broken Hill with 28. Similar conditions in Port Lincoln with 27 degrees. 34 degrees in Port Augusta, Port Pirie and Woodnott on Sunday. Sunny in Port Lincoln with 30 degrees. Mostly sunny in Whyalla, 31. Broken Hill will be partly cloudy and is set to reach a high of 28 degrees. A look at next week now, and very similar conditions across the region. A little warmer in Woodnott and Broken Hill. So John, the weekend is looking a lot more pleasant and a lot drier than last one. And that's all the weather from me for tonight. It's back to you.
Thanks for that, Alex. And that's the local news this Thursday evening. Thanks for joining us. I'll have updates later, and we will return tomorrow night at 7 p.m. on our usual channel of 7 2. Until then, enjoy your evening. Good night.